What's up, Infected? Welcome to the Quarantine. Today I'm going to be taking a look at a game by the name of Cult Following. Now, Cult Following is kind of in the same vein as like Cards Against Humanity and Joking Hazard and similar games kind of like that. However, it's got more of a twist to it where you're trying to develop these just completely heinous, off-the-wall cults. You're trying to persuade people to like, why you should join my cult. So let's just go over to how it's played. In Cult Following, the players are trying to reach a predetermined amount of points, or you're just going to play a predetermined amount of time and whoever has the most amount of points wins, or whenever the pizza arrives, the game is over and whoever has the most points win, because let's face it, pizza's pretty awesome. To start the game, you're going to decide whether you want 2 or 3 cultists. Lower player counts, of course, you're going to want lower amount of cultists, and you're going to give those 2 or 3 people 5 cards from the purple deck. Now their job, these cards are double-sided, as you see here, and their job is to pick 3 of these and form a cult. And you're going to want to try to be as elaborate with your storytelling as possible. For example, probably a pretty poor example, but an example nonetheless, you may start off with, well, we first originally founded this cult on an idea just so stupid it might work. So, when you first join, you're going to get your complimentary, robes and your seance chants. And you do, however, have to give away all of your possessions. But once you do, my favorite science fiction show is, in fact, real at that point. And then at that point, your opponent or opponents will do a similar thing. Then at that point, each non-cultist player is going to draw one of these white cards and read the other side of it. And they're going to choose one of the 2 questions that they would like to ask each cult member about their cult, such as, oh yeah? Well, what in the event of an emergency, what does your cult use as a scapegoat? And then in turn order, each player will then explain, well, because the Enterprise D is going to ascend from orbit on an away mission and pull everybody away and take them to safety, or something just completely heinous such as that. After each non-cult player has asked their questions, you then will be allowed to decide who you're going to join, which one of those cults you're going to join, and you would give them this white card as like an acceptance that I am joining you. Then at that point, you would either rotate to where new people are now cultists, or maybe if you want those people to remain cultists and you play that kind of game, you would continue until you're either tired of playing, you've reached a predetermined amount of points, or really until you just don't feel like playing anymore, or maybe you've run out of time. And that's all the game is. Well, as you see here, it doesn't have a lot to do with games like Cards Against Humanity, aside from the fact that you're trying to gain the favor of the judge. In this case, directly. You know who is playing that card, so you are playing to them to get them to join you. You're trying to exploit what they like, stuff like that. And, Cards Against Humanity, Joking Hazard, they all do very similar, just in different ways. But this is a very party-style game, and I'm going to say is a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoy this game. It's not a very in-depth game. It's not the greatest game ever, but it is incredibly fun because you're playing your judges. I am creating this cult because I know exactly who those judges are and I know exactly what they want to hear. So I'm tailoring with these crappy cards. I'm tailoring what I'm saying to exactly what they want to hear in hopes that they join my cult. And that is a lot of fun. That's really, really cool. And then, you can also add in a couple other things such as these intrigue, I think they're called, cards, where there's 10 of them that add more like conspiracy type cards like sheeple and access to high explosives. And then you can kind of make the game a little more grim by adding like more downer cards like mass extinction and it never stops raining, stuff like that. So you can kind of tailor the style of game that you want, and it's very flexible. However, it doesn't mean the game is for everybody. There are some people who are not going to like this style of game purely because you do have to have an imagination. You're trying to take these cards and just make up this wild, just asinine cult, and the better you can explain and kind of role play in with it, the better you're really gonna do. So if you're not able to, for example, not able to play a game like Dungeons and Dragons, or a game like Gloom, or Once Upon a Time, I think it's called, and those like storytelling games where you kind of have to use a little bit of imagination to be able to extrapolate these stories, you may have a hard time with cult following. But if you're fine with knowing you're not going to win because you're never going to be a cultist, and you're fine with just going, you know what, I will always just ask you a question and we'll just laugh and have some beers around the table, then go for it. The game's easy like that. Even in the rule book, it's very, very lighthearted. It's very humorous. Some of the things it talks about when it's like, well, you can play until the pizza gets there because pizza's the one true God. And that's the kind of the humor that you're looking for in this game. And so if you're all going in and you go in and know, hey, I don't like storytelling style games, and I don't have an imagination or anything like that, then cool. You're playing it to have a blast and laugh with each other and manipulate each other into conning you into giving you points. And then on top of that, because you know who you're giving your point to, you are literally just feeding the fire, essentially. You see I have 4 points, nobody else has any, and you're still giving me points. Or you stop giving me points. Even though I had the funnier cult and made everybody laugh, you just don't give me points anymore. Which kind of goes into another maybe problem with some groups. That may be a problem with some groups. That, yeah, you're winning, screw that guy, we're just going to give all my points to these guys because I don't like you. And that might be another thing you run into. But overall, yeah, the game is fantastic. It's good fun. The whole time while we were playing it, we did nothing but laughing. We weren't even drinking or anything. It was just lots of laughs. And, you're bringing, everybody's personality is coming out in their cult. Of course, I'm a big sci-fi nerd, so I'm breaking out sci-fi everything, along with board games. And I think my cult, every day, you got a free goat and an aluminum foil hat, and you got to relive the same day over and over again. So you get a free goat every day, a new goat every day. It was awesome. And it was stuff like that. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, definitely check out Cult Following if you like these style kind of party games. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time in the Quarantine.